make sure that not only do they do the most with the resources that we've been giving them, but that they also do a much better job of customer service with people who are coming to them. I get letters all the time of people who've gone through all kinds of hoops, filled out forms, the bank doesn't call them back, or after they've gone through a trial period, the bank says, well, we now think we shouldn't give you a home modification. What we're trying to do is to increase transparency and force all the banks to tell us exactly what are you doing with your customers who want to stay in their homes, can afford to pay a mortgage, but need something a little bit more limited. And I'm hopeful that we're going to continue to see more and more people take advantage of it. But I want to be honest, given the magnitude of the housing problem out there, that there are still going to be pockets of areas where the housing values have dropped so much that it is still going to be tough for a lot of people, and we're just going to have to work our way through this as the economy improves.
Mr. President, let's lighten things up for a minute. We got a lot of people just submitting their ideas to you. They had ideas for how to make the country better. They wanted to hear what you thought about them. Let's play sort of a faster round of a thing we'll call good idea, bad idea. Okay. I'll show you an idea. You say whether you think it's good or bad, and maybe just a few sentences about why you think that. Okay. First one comes from Aloha Tony, your home state of Hawaii.
There
he
you
says,
go.
Mr. President, our deficit is higher than ever at $12 trillion. Will you consider allowing the private sector to buy and take over the most troubled government-run agencies, such as the U.S. Postal Service?
Bad idea most of the time. There are examples where privatization makes sense, where people can do things much more efficiently. But oftentimes what you see is companies want to buy those parts of a government-run operation that are profitable, and they don't want to do anything else. So, for example, the U.S. Postal Service, everybody would love to have that high-end part of the business that FedEx and UPS are already in. Business to business, you make a lot of money. But do they want to deliver that postcard to a remote area somewhere in rural America? That is a money loser. Well, the U.S. Post Office provides universal service. Those companies would not want to provide universal service. So you've got to make sure that you look carefully at what privatization proposals are out there.
So bad idea most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Next idea, rather, is a video.
My car insurance company will allow me to take driver's ed classes to reduce my monthly premiums. Can we do the same thing for health insurance? Take classes in cooking, nutrition, stress management, communication, parenting, stopping smoking, maybe even exercise classes, and get a reduction on our monthly premiums?
Well, I think that the idea is a good one, and that is that if people are being healthy, that they should be able to get some incentives for that. And a lot of companies are starting to do that. We probably don't want the insurance companies, though, making those decisions, because insurance companies have every incentive to take the youngest, healthiest people and insure them, since they're less likely to have to pay out, and then leave older, sicker individuals out of their insurance pools. So it's important in any healthcare program to make sure that the young and the healthy and the older and the sicker are in a single pool. But what we should encourage are individual companies who provide incentives for wellness programs, smoking cessation programs, that they're going to get a workout once in a while. Those things are something that we should encourage, and the First Lady, Michelle Obama, she's really focusing right now on childhood wellness, healthy eating, getting exercise. That's a campaign that she's going to be pushing all year long.
Let's get one more idea in here. This next one comes from Jay Levers in Dover, Delaware, who writes, do you think it would be worth looking at placing solar panels in all federal, state, and school buildings as a way to cut energy costs and put that budget money to better use?
Good idea. And we want to do everything we can to encourage clean energy, and I have instructed the Department of Energy to make sure that our federal operations are employing the best possible clean energy technology, alternative energy technology. And what we're seeing is more and more companies realize this is a win-win for them. Not only is what they're doing environmentally sound, but it also, over the long term, saves money for them.
Great. Well, let's move back to the questions. And I got to tell you, the number one question that came in the jobs and economy category had to do with the internet. And it came from James Earlywine in Indianapolis. He said, an open internet is a powerful engine for economic growth and new jobs. Letting large companies block and filter online content and services would stifle needed growth. What is your commitment to keeping the internet open and neutral in America?
Well, I'm a big believer in net neutrality. I campaigned on this. I continue to be a strong supporter of it. My FCC chairman, Julius Janikowski, has indicated that he shares the view that we've got to keep the internet open, that we don't want to create a bunch of gateways that prevent somebody who doesn't have a lot of money but has a good idea from being able to start their next YouTube or their next Google on the internet. So this is something we're committed to. We're getting pushback, obviously, from some of the bigger carriers who would like to be able to charge more fees and extract more money from wealthier customers. But we think that runs counter to the whole spirit of openness that has made the internet such a powerful engine for not only economic growth, but also for the generation of ideas and creativity.
Well, to get good jobs, I think many Americans realize they need a higher education, but college tuition costs are so high. Here is a video question from Saginaw, Michigan.
Dear President Obama, as a college student who has 14 credits and 3 part-time jobs, just was wondering, what are your plans for plans to lower college tuition costs? I know we're in a struggling economy right now, but any little bit that you can help would be appreciative. Thank you. God bless. Bye.
Well, John's right that college tuition costs are just crushing on a lot of folks, and this is something I remember from my own experience because Michelle and I, we had college loans we kept on paying off for a decade after we had graduated from law school. We've already done a huge amount to increase Pell Grants, to help increase the accessibility of college loans and grants at the college level, but we want to do more. And so we've put forward an initiative that is being debated in Congress, and we hope to get passed this year, where if you have student loans, that you will not have to pay more than 10% of your income on those loans, that after 20 years they'll be forgiven, and if you've gone into public service, they'll be forgiven after 10 years. That would provide a huge amount of relief for people. We still need to expand more the Pell Grant program, make it both accessible to more people and raise the amount of tuition. In order to pay for this, the best part of this is we can actually figure out how to pay for it, because right now you've got a lot of banks and financial service companies who are still middlemen in the federally guaranteed loan programs. And if we can cut those middlemen out, then you've got several $1 billion that you can invest in the programs that I just described. This is something that I've made a top priority. I want us to once again have the highest college graduation rates of any country in the world. By 2020, we can get that done, but this is legislation that needs to pass. And the last point I would make, colleges and universities also, though, have to figure out how can they cut their costs. Because even if we're putting in more and more loans in, more and more money for loans, if the inflation in higher education keeps on skyrocketing, over time, it's still going to gobble up all that extra money and we'll be right back where we started. So we've got to show more restraint at the college and university level in terms of ever-escalating costs.
Well, let's back up a bit just from the specifics of education policy and ask a more fundamental question, which comes from Sean in Ohio.
Mr. President, what do you want public education to help students become? Should they be good workers, innovative thinkers, something else? As a math teacher, I want to know what you think it means to be an educated person.
Well, I think obviously there's a huge economic component to being well educated. We know that if you've got a college education, you're going to make multiples of what you would make as a high school graduate, much less a high school dropout over the course of a lifetime. But it's absolutely true that a high-quality education is not just a matter of being a good worker. It's also a matter of being a good citizen. It's also a matter of being able to think critically, evaluate the world around you, make sure that you can process all the information that's coming at us in a way that helps you make decisions about your own life, but also helps you participate in the life of the country. And I'm a big believer that the most important thing that a kid can learn in school is how to learn and how to think. If Malia and Sasha, my two daughters, are asking questions, know how to poke holes in an argument, know how to make an argument themselves, know how to evaluate a complicated bunch of data,